that. 5500. Pretty bad. Rotate.
Hello, test, 1, 2, 3. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Man, it's been what, 4 or 5 days since we last flew. A little bit not tired, just kind of groggy. Got in super late last night. Shout out to those in the Discord that were keeping me awake all the way home. I drive home at like 1 o'clock in the morning. That was exciting. But Wingnut's in the house. There he is, man. Are you? I thought you were doing a little green slippery today. Are you already done with that? What's up, Wingnut? Good to see you, Migs. Thanks for the gifted membership. Appreciate the support. Back in the Duke. I love it. I didn't know what to do today. It's rainy. It's misty. The kids have got something going on today. So I was like, you know what? Let's go fly the Duke. I didn't know if we were going to do piston or not. So I put the vote out there. You guys voted for the Turbine Duke, which it's a good idea. And here's why. Because we're going to be flying that piston Duke a long time, all the way down the Tour of the Americas Barry Seal Contract Series. Probably kick it off this weekend, maybe. We'll see. So we're going to have a lot of time to get our piston Duke on. So I figure one more flight here in the Turbine is just fitting. We're going to pick up right where we left off here in Telluride. We're going to fire up our Turbine Duke and head down to Sedona, Arizona. We'll go ahead and park it there for a while, as the next couple of Duke streams will probably be in the piston Duke as we kick off that fun little flight situation. So Migs, good to see you. Pete Ski, Vaughn's at the house. Callie Simmer, what's up? Bo Browning, good to see you. Flight Sim Guy, Drew Smith, Gabriel Rodriguez. Ooh, Nightbot joined the channel. That's good. Ari, good to see you. Ken Lemoyne, Zach Lewine, what's going on, man? You got to say you were right. These Dukes are insanely good. I do like them both more than the A2A. Well, there you go, folks. You heard it here first. Zach Lewine, he said he was going to pick up the Dukes, last week? Last time we flew him. He was a big A2A fan. We have converted him. insanely good, and he likes them more than the A28 Comanche. So don't take my word for it. Take Zach's word for it. If you haven't got the Dukes yet, you're just missing out. You're just straight up missing out in flight sim because they are that good. So today, what we're going to do in cruise, we're going to go over the PT6. We've gone over turbochargers before, which is good. So today we're actually going to go over the PT6 turbines, the PT6A. We got 2 of them on our lovely Duke, so that'll be exciting. Should keep us occupied. So with that said, let's go ahead and get ourselves back to the airplane. We're not taking this one here. Let me go back to the first. I don't know what's going on with your nose wheel there, buddy. I don't know what's going on with that parking job, but that's not our Duke. This is our bird over here. 357 Bravo Sierra, absolutely love it. We'll pull the, I really hope when they get a patch out sooner than later. I don't know if they forgot about their Dukes with Black Square, but it'd be really cool to come and pull all these chalks and stuff from the walk around mode. But oh man, absolutely love it. Let's go ahead and hop into the bird. We'll get her fired up. We'll get this show on the road. How much are the Dukes? I believe 70 for both, right, Tom? Tom says, yeah, you can buy the package. There's a package, for both of them. I bought them both independently because I didn't know if they were going to work for 24, so I bought one, and then you guys said get the turbine, so I bought the turbine. But yeah, you can save, I think, $20 or $10 by just doing the package deal. But Felix, what's up, man? Good to see you. Barry Seal Ground Support told me to park there. Oh, that's you? Nice, man. All righty, let's go ahead and get this bird fired up. I'll show you what we got here for payload. So right now we've got all our passengers just as when we flew in, 200, 180, 180, 180. We got to take our full burn today with an alternate of Fenix. It's a little aggressive. It's like 1,400. So I put 1,600 on board. We're probably not even going to burn close to that. We're probably going to burn for the flight about 700. So it's going to give us a good amount of extra fuel in case the winds pick up there in Sedona. For those that haven't been to Sedona, it can get a little bit spicy if the winds pick up. It's kind of like landing on a pseudo aircraft carrier that's extra long. So fun fact, took my wife up there to Sedona too on our first date. But so that's what we got planned for the payload. We're about 161 pounds overweight. We're probably going to burn that when we load up the flight plan and get everything started here. So we've got that is our payload. We've got our passengers on board. Nothing in the rear baggage. There's 30 pounds in the nose. We left all our stuff here. No gear. We're going back light. So we'll go ahead and pull the chocks. We'll pull the pitot covers. We'll pull the engine covers. We'll close the cabin door. With the cabin door closed, we're going to get ready to start up our engines. Now, this is a really cool animation for the PT6. If you want to, I love using these animations to help kind of teach it, go over it. We did a little bit on the piston. Well, we didn't really talk about the piston, but this is going to be awesome. The reverse flow, free turbine, axial compressor, and the turbine stage. So we'll go over this in cruise down to the T. But there's some really cool little features in here that, like the FOD type down here that I didn't even realize was there. So that shows you what type of FOD, the intensity of the FOD that you could be subject to if you don't have your inert SEPs on. So we're going to go over this entire page up in cruise, but it's kind of fun to start the engine with this too. So we're going to leave it on the right engine side, but for now I'll go ahead and close that. Let's close the nose door by pulling the keys off the HSI. The baggage door is closed. There we go, all closed up. I'm going to hide the yokes for engine start. Check goes smoothly. Yep, it went good, man. What's up, Wub? Thanks for the support. Yeah, it was long flight, but check airman just got up and left, so no debrief. I guess we did all right. We fooled them for another 6 months, y'all, so we're ready to go. My destruction tally so far is 1 airframe and 3 engines. To be fair, the airframe was due to binding issue. Yeah, that's what they all say, Romulus. That triggered the fuel shut-off on both engines at low altitude. Not good, not good. Zach says, I don't know why, but I cooked 3 turbine engines this morning on startup. Well, that's about that's over $1 million in damages there, Zach. So have fun with that repair bill. Hope you got insurance. Portable Gamer, thanks for the 11 months of support, my man. When do I get the good shoulder boards? I feel like Isaac the bartender in this. Oh, yeah. You're talking about your membership badge. You're getting close, man. You're capped out with the 4, so you'll be getting the silver first officer badge here pretty soon. I think 1 more month, Portable Gamer. Appreciate you, man. Felix says, I haven't blown up any PT6s yet. Well, let me give you a quick tip. I was looking at the manual. Every airplane's a little bit different. So there is no fuel. I was turning the aux fuel pump on. You actually turn it on just to verify that it's function, but you don't need it on for start. So we'll go ahead and go over that. So let's start it up right now. Let's do it. What the heck? Let's go ahead and get the battery master on. We used battery 1 last time, so let's go ahead and move this to battery 2. We'll clear the master caution. We got the nav light on, the beacon on. We are going to go idle forward cutoff. We'll pull the throttle control stop out there, and I'm going to rest these in the idle state. So if you have the not unrestricted, but if you have the beta range on, which is the setting, let me show you here because it's kind of important. Go to the options, show beta annunciator. So if you have the show beta annunciator, see these red lights here? That lets you know you're in beta. In the real airplane, you would actually feel a physical detent. I'll show you. You'd actually feel a physical detent in the power levers here. So just when you start up, you can start up in beta technically. I think it might damage the linkage. I don't think it's a good idea because that was a big thing when we were shutting them down. Make sure you did not shut down in beta or ground find. So I can imagine starting in beta or ground find is probably not a good idea. But when I think about it, I don't think it would actually damage the airplane if you started it in the beta, but the normal procedure would be to have them in idle. So just move your throttles up there to those prop lights extinguish, so now you're at a full ground idle for engine start. We're also going to be idle forward cut off with the prop levers and the mixture lever as well. All right, so for engine start, always we're going to juice up by opening the door. We're also going to make sure the sounds are all the way up for at least one engine start. So let's go ahead and turn up the sounds all the way up to 11. A couple things we need to monitor here on start. We're going to be looking at NG, ITT, fuel flow, and prop RPM. That's what we're looking at. Here's our fuel pressure. We should see that rise during the startup as well. Wingnut says, loving the Back to Basics general aviation streams. Hey, you're over there trying to convince people flying a DC-6 transatlantic is GA. Okay, next thing you're going to be flying a freaking Constellation saying that, oh yeah, this is, we're just going to do a light GA flight in a Connie today. Get out of here, man. All right. No tall with the turbine, turning on beta in iPad, puts throttles in beta at thrust idle position, had learned when landing. Yes, also a good point. And we'll talk more about that, Tom, and it's so unfortunate that we don't have a hard like detent or a throttle axis here for the Bravo. That's where the Bravo is just, it could have been taken from like a 7.5 and an 8 to a 15 on a scale of 1 to 10 of awesomeness if they gave you actual axis and a detent there in the selection. But without that hardware, it's kind of hard to mimic it. So, all right. There we go. We're going to start this sucker up. So I will show you what we're going to do here. We're going to open the right engine. We're going to go ahead and open the oil cooler doors. I'm going to open up on both. And you'll see here, oil cooler door. I actually see it start moving. So you want to make sure they are open for engine start. Ice deflectors are off. That's the inert SEPs. We'll go ahead and keep those off for engine start. Now, a couple things to keep an eye on here, because I'll watch this during start, but we'll listen to the sounds, of course, is you're going to see the fuel pump. The fuel is going to be drawn in through the FCU. It's going to be distributed to the burner can, which is where the ignition is going to happen. This is your spark plug right here. You'll be able to see the spark plug start igniting when we turn the ignition on. The intake is going to be, it's reverse flow. So you're going to have the intake up through the back of the engine. This is your compressor, axial stage, and then you got your compressor, and then into the hot section where it's ignited. You'll notice there is no connection there. We'll talk about this in depth, and that's going to spin up the turbine. We'll talk about all this other fun stuff. So that's the general flow that you're going to see here through the start, and it's really cool to watch this animation. So we are clear on the right, clear prop. Let's go ahead and do this. So battery 2, master's on, avionics is off, beacon's on. We'll test the aux pump. See the fuel pressure? Okay, so I know it's working. Wonderful. All right, let's go ignition on. See the igniters? Shh, shh, shh. Here we go. See the intake. We're spinning up the compressor. We want to wait for max motoring here. Max motoring. Watching that NG. When that NG stops climbing, that's when we're going to increase the fuel. Especially at high altitude. 17.7, 17. All right, fuel on. There's our light off. Watch the ITT. If it goes above that red line, you got to abort the start. 706 on the temp out. That looks good. We got an ITT rollback at a 42%. Starter off. All right, we got a stable engine start. Let's go generator 2 on, inverter on. And let's go ahead and close up the window there. So we got a good start on number 2. And I don't know if you caught all that. There's a lot to look at, but you have to really pay attention, because if you do hot start, if you see this ITT start to get up there towards that red line to abort, you're going to bring that fuel or the condition lever straight back to idle cutoff. So you want to make sure you keep your hand on that. Now, what's interesting, we'll talk about this a little bit later, is you can see here, now that we got an inverter powered up and we got power to the aircraft, you can see my left power lever is blue. Oh, ignition, we'll go ignition off for now. We'll turn it to auto after start or before takeoff. But yeah, ignition off now, it's fine. It's okay to leave it running. You're just wasting starters. I mean, it's not going to damage anything. But yeah, ignition come off too. The big one is the starter. So if you leave that starter on and that engine runs up to speed, now you're going to be burning up starters, which is expensive. But what I was getting at is, now that we got power to the aircraft, you can see that this lever is blue. We're going to come back to this during our run up. But this aircraft does not have an auto feather. And if you lose an engine on takeoff, it even says in the manual that the aircraft will become uncontrollable with an unfeathered propeller. And since it doesn't have an auto feather, it lights up so you can do an immediate action item and feather the prop. So the light up, in this case, if say we just took off, identify, it's lit up, verify, pull it back, feather. So and probably in the Duke, it'd probably be much faster than that. You'd probably just be like, oh my gosh, feather. Because if you don't feather it, you're probably going to VMC roll it. So you don't have time to sit there and think about it. It just lights up, you pull the lit one back, and then you can climb away from the ground. So I found that interesting. I looked it up after the last stream because I was like, where's the auto feather in this thing? There's no auto feather in the Duke, so that's extra sporty. All right, you got to see the ignition there on the left one. Let's go ahead and start up number 1. All right, so aux pump, we already tested it. It worked, we heard it. So we're going to go ignition on and starter engage. Go with caution, we're watching our gauges. I'm trying to show you the whole screen here. We got rotation. See rotation outside. Same thing, waiting for max motoring. Now that we got significant oil pressure, you can see that feather light has gone out. 17.6, 17, all right, it's going to stay, 17.7. Do we get 17.8? Nope, fuel on. ITT rise, there's our light off. Fuel pressure's up. 706 on the temp out, 707. ITT rollback at a 42%, starter off. Waiting for the NG to stabilize. NG is stable. Let's go left generator on, ignition off. We got 2 good starts. Now, for operation on the ground, we're going to leave both oil cooler doors open. Right now, this is really cool. The FOD intensity is only 4%, so there's really no need to open our ice deflectors right now, or our what we would call the inert separators in the TBM. So at only 4%, we're going to leave it as is. I'm going to get rid of the EFB for now. I'm going to turn the sim back down so I can hear myself think. And now we're going to go ahead and get the airplane booted up and ready to go. So let's go ahead and get the avionics master switch up. And there we go. Miggs, thank you so much, man, for the $2 super chat. You got me right there in the startup procedure, dude. I appreciate that. Very kind of you, my friend. Said, I can't get over how in-depth the simulation is. Yeah, it's pretty amazing, man. It's pretty amazing. We'll do a magic barrel ref, our cruise altitude up to 26,000 feet again. So we'll set 260. 26,000 feet is set. Our Garmin's are coming up. Let's go ahead and turn on our Garmin XTS. While we're looking at things over here on the ground, it's 44 degrees outside, so let's go auto heat. Increase temp. Now, we'll talk about this later, but pressurization air we will pull to increase because you can at extreme cold temperatures up at 30,000 feet. you won't have enough hot air, so you do the pressurization hot air. We'll talk about that later too. But we're trying to warm that cabin up. All right, the GPS is coming to life. The stab off is fine. We don't need anything 1200. We do have an auto ATC squawk of 0603, so let's go ahead and squawk 0603. We will be IFR today because we're going, like I said, up to 26,000 feet. Everything's coming up. Make sure everything's looking all right. Make sure everything is in the green. We're looking good. This little blue light here just means the cabin is cold. That's all that is. First time I fired this one up, I had a pop breaker in the avionics, only small Garmin powered on the rest. Yep, Tom, that's the other thing. We got failures on, circuit breakers, verify they're all in. While we're waiting, let's go ahead and set our cabin altitude for cruise. Our cruise altitude is 26,000 feet. Can anybody tell me why the aircraft is not pressurizing on the ground? So at 26,000 feet, we're going to pressurize just below 11,000 cabin altitude. So it's still going to feel pretty hard on the body. All right, we are acquiring satellites. All right, first one is up. Let's go ahead and let's go to the flight plan page. Let's go ahead and give ourselves a basic flight plan. So we're going to be Telluride, KTEX, enter. Next waypoint is Charlie Echo Zulu VOR, Cortez. After Cortez, we're going to Tuba City, TBC. Enter that, Southwest USA. After Tuba City, it is FLG Flagstaff, and then we're going to go into Sedona, Arizona from there. All right, Southwest USA, Flagstaff, and now let's go ahead and put our destination, K-Says. Sedona, Arizona is set. Beautiful. I'm going to go flight plan page 1. Direct track after takeoff is roughly 214, so we'll go ahead and spin the needle now. 214, that looks good, and I think we are about ready to get out of here. 122.8, what's the CTAF of this place? .CTAF, K Telluride is 23-0. So let's go 23-0. Do apologize for not being too involved in the chat. Getting these things fired up here, it takes just a little bit of concentration, but we'll be chilling here in no time, so bear with me. 23-0. Let's see if I can get a radio check. I think I have the wrong thing bound. I do. Let me see if I can change it. Push to talk. Yeah, beautiful. Can I get a comm check? 23-0.
Yeah, you're 10.0.
Oh, great. It's the menace to society. All right. We're all fired up here. We got BAT 2, everything is good. Let's go ahead and taxi out. What's windsock doing? I'm not sure what the winds are doing. Do we know what the winds are doing? Let me see. Let's go ahead and go flight plan. Let's do this real quick. We got to burn some fuel off before takeoff anyway, so I'm not too worried about being in a hurry here. Got 160-something pounds we got to burn. All right, so that's our route. Telluride right now. Weather, winds are 14 knots from the west, so we're going to plan 27, which would be 14 knot headwind. Telluride traffic, Duke 357 Bravo Sierra. We're going to taxi runway 27. Telluride. All right, now, how do let's see, Telluride info, it has charts here, right? Airport, FAA, airport diagram. Yeah, buddy. All right, so 27 is right here, which is the standard anyway. So we'll take it out Alpha and do our run up short of the runway there, 27. So ready to go, taxi lights coming on. Brakes are released. Beta that right one. Come on, baby. Beautiful. All right. Here we go. Taxi out. Almost hit a wall. All right, that Duke's taxiing now. I guess he's going behind us. Let's go. Like a glove. All right, in the turn, verify turn coordinator, balls opposite of the turn. That checks. HSI is rolling. Attitude indicator is erect and correct. Top altitude set 260, beta smash. Love it. Here's the run-up area for the cool kids, so let's go ahead and sling into this run-up area. Matthew Presley, yeah, we blasted a couple of those cars for sure. Mix, thanks for the $5 super chat again, man. Appreciate you. Just going to tell my wife that I've got time booked off with with Barry in Alaska this weekend. That's how hyped I am for America's and Duke tour. Hey, me too, man. Migs, I'm super hyped. I'm super hyped about it too, man. I can't wait. All right, y'all. We're gonna go heads down one more time here for the run-up check. So we're gonna do things a little bit differently. First and foremost, I'm gonna go ahead and finish kind of an after start flow. Make sure I didn't forget anything. We'll go pitch trim. That's coming on. That is set. Oil doors are open. Wonderful. So now for the run-up in the Duke, couple things we're gonna do. We're actually gonna go to 2150 RPM. So with the prop levers full forward, we're gonna increase power until the RPM reaches 2150. Now we would do a cross-feed check here as well. We're going to skip that. It's because I don't have my view bound. Now we're going to talk about the governor in cruise, but this is a governor check. So about 2150 RPM. The governor test should limit us to 2000. So I'm going to press this governor test button here for the left. Drops it down. So governor works on number 1. Let's try number 2. You see how that drops back down to 2000. Prop governor test is complete. Let's go ahead and do a cycle of the prop. Number 1. Number 2. That looks good. Let's go windshield heat. We got volts and amps. Wonderful. Surface, we're going to do a 1 cycle. That's coming up. There's our pressure. De-icing pressure's gone up. You can see the ribs there on the wing. De-icing is complete. All right, we're going to also do a left gen reset. Left gen reset, 0. Right gen reset, 0. Less than 40 amps and decreasing. That passes the check. Generators are on. That looks good. Let's go ahead and go fuel vent heats. Load it up. Pitot heat. Loads it up. And we're actually going to keep pitot heat on and the stall and pitot heat. They both loaded up. No prop heats required. Clear the caution. That's from us flipping stuff around. Battery temps are good. Instrument air, no red lights. All right. Bring it back. We would also do a cross-feed check there. We're going to skip that. All right, coming back down to the idle state. I think we're ready to blast off. Let me go through a quick little, I have my little Duke checklist up in the run-up. I'm kind of doing an abbreviated run-up. A lot of these things you wouldn't do every single flight necessarily. You might do them first flight of the day. We've done all that. We reset the load. That looks good. Oil doors are open. Instrument air we checked. Everything else looks good. All right, we're not going to do the cabin pressure check because we're going to check right after takeoff. All right, cool. That's good enough for me for right now for a run-up. All right, so for since we're going to taxi all the way out and take off, let's go ahead and do our takeoff checklist. So we're going to go auto on the ignition. Wing pumps are coming on. And that's off. No ice deflect needed. Vent blower is low. Auto heat is off. We are ready to go. Let's get out of here. Telluride traffic, Duke 357 Bravo Sierra, going to be departing runway 27 out to the west. Telluride traffic. So when we set power, we want to make sure these ignition lights extinguish. We are high density altitude, so if we do have any abnormalities on the application of power, we're going to immediately abort the takeoff, and we'll come back to the run-up area and give it a check. All right, nobody's on traffic. Let's squawk altitude 0603. Telluride traffic. Duke 357 Bravo Sierra, departing runway 27, Telluride. All right, haven't heard anybody call. I'm going to spin the heading bug 270. Let's light it up and go. Strobe and nav, wing, landing lights, no panel lights. Let's go. Clear left on final. We are real weather, real time. Much nicer day than it was last time we flew in here. You know what we didn't really do is a flight control check. Kind of important. Ah, there's an Airbus lineup for you. All right, close enough. Let's go. No flaps for takeoff. All right, the ignition lights are out. Props are coming up. Looking for 2150, 2200 check. Release the brake so you drag the tires in the Duke. Set power. 101 on the NG, that looks good. .1200 on torque, power set, airspeed's alive. Engine instruments are green, 80 knots. Coming through 100 knots, we get a nice easy rotation. Positive rate, gear up. Get up there, start pitching for blue line. Fly with. Oh. Bumpy. We're going to climb out pretty aggressive here at 120 knots. We're going to maintain this just because of the terrain. There's 10,000 feet, but we're going to just keep everything on for right now. We're going to maintain this, try to get some more altitude above us here. Man, it is bumpy though. Good night, is it bumpy? All right, coming through 12,000 feet. Let's go ahead and lower that nose. Look at that climb rate though, man. Rocket shipping. That's at max weight too, just about. Let's go ahead and lower that nose.
Sorry, drop that black arrow in the flooding.
Let's begin a left-hand turnout. And let's get our props back to 2,000. Watching those temps, we're 758, 760 is our limit. Looking for about 140 on the speed. Telluride traffic, Duke 357 Bravo Sierra to 13,000 out to the west, last call. Telluride. Alright, at a 13.3, let's go ahead and redirect us here. Direct Cortez, activate, enter. Direct track 210s. Perfect. 140 on the speed. We're trimmed out. We're looking good. Let's go ahead and get the auto heat on. Start warming up the cabin. After takeoff, our wing pumps are coming off. That looks good. Oil doors are open. No need for anything else from the ice deflectors. That looks good. We'll go ahead and kill the landing lights, taxi light, wing light. Those all come off. I still love the sound. I mean, I still love the sounds of these turbines. Man, 210. We got a little bit of crosswind here, don't we? Right now we're tracking 207. Let's bring that heading gun over a little bit more. All right, at a 15, make sure our cabin is climbing. It is climbing. Increase the rate just a hair, but we also took off at 10,000 feet, so that'll help our cause. We were getting some crazy headwind gusts there. You saw that vertical speed pegging out. Let's help myself out here with flying. So let's go autopilot heading attitude. And is that switch bound? Yes, it is. Wonderful. We'll go ahead and engage nav. Attitude nav mode. It's going to be a little aggressive here, maybe to capture.
Make heading southwest.
And we'll go back to Unicom. 22.8 is up. Probably should put, well, I put that one on that one. There we go. That looks good. Gonna do a few little S turns here to get us caught up. Man, looking good though. I actually don't think we need any heats. Let's go ahead and kill those. I guess technically it's still a hot 5. Not quite a hot 5, but alright, we'll leave those on. Squawking altitude 0603. Oil doors are open. We're looking good. Alright, and just like that. A lot of work to get us off the ground. Once we get airborne, now we'll be able to sit back and chill. Beautiful day. Heck of a lot nicer than when we flew in here. Aerostar wind, that would be something. Winds are bad. I'm finishing Denver Salt Lake 320 ground speed. Nice. Yeah, it was definitely gusting out there. Oh yeah, gusting 2.4 right down the pipe. That'll do it. All right, there's 18,000 feet. We'll go ahead and hit standard. STDs are set 290902. What do we say, 26? Yeah, all right, so cabin is on schedule, looks like. Just a little weak, but I guess because of the cruise altitude. Or the field altitude, actually. We'll go ahead and increase the pressurization air. This will warm it up much faster. Outside air temp is pretty dang cold, so minus 0 Fahrenheit, so minus 18 C. Check ride was good, man. We fooled them for another 6 months. Fooled them for another 6 months. Gosh, I still love... what I love about the PT6 sound set from Boris on this is, like, you still know you're in a prop. It's like... Because I feel like the devs that have done multiple PT6 sound sets, like, some of them sound too jet engine-y, and then others sound too piston-y. This is the perfect blend. Like, you hear that you're in a prop still, but you hear the jet. You can hear that turbine in there, that high speed, but you still hear the... Just a really nice job by Boris. Just crushed it. Just crushed it. Turn it down a little bit more there. Take a quick look at our engines. Yeah, engine's running good. This is our fuel control unit there. Oh, the question I did ask about why doesn't it pressurize on the ground? That's because there's a weight on wheel switch. Now, you can bypass the weight on wheel switch by putting this into the test position. That's how you would do a pressurization test on the ground. So. All right, 21 for 26. Lower that nose just a hair. Probably going to have a nice little headwind, aren't we, going out here? Boris, to the sound of the Piaggio 1.8 that's coming out this week. Ken, yeah, you know what? I was listening. I was watching some of the Blue Games stream in the Piaggio. Now, here's what I didn't realize. Piaggio, for me, take it or leave it. But ProLine 21, now you have my attention. So I may have to dabble in that airplane. because that cockpit looked great. That cockpit looked really good, and that's only going to help us for future. Hopefully, we get a citation from the Flight FX as well. Yeah, catfish plane. I agree. Gets intercepted by King Air. Our destination is Sedona, Arizona. Sedona, Arizona. Get your last fix on turboprop because we're going to be in the Piston Duke for a while. The Grand Duke. I'm excited though. When should we kick it off? So here's the problem. I was supposed to be off now for like 2 weeks. I got greedy. There was an Atlanta turn that dropped in for Friday, so I'm doing a turn Friday evening. So, I mean, I could always drop it and kick off the Duke of America's stream on Friday evening. We'll see. We got to look at our route. We got to pick an airport. What airport are we starting at? We're going north to south. So what's the northernmost airport in Alaska? Flying RX-7. No, Kings Bob. This is from Black Square. Nick says, initial thoughts on starting point in Alaska. Would Whitehorse be too cool for a starting point? Any temp weather limitations off the top of your head? Oh, I'm sure there will be, Migs. I don't even know what the temps are up there right now. Now, in the Piston, we're going to have to look. We're going to have to look at a lot of different things. So what I want to do is before the weekend, maybe tomorrow even, we're going to have to do one flight in the Piston in the Grand Duke that we're going to take. We're going to have to do a test flight. We're going to do an engine cut. We're going to do a V1, not a V1 cut. It should be an engine failure on takeoff. We've got to make sure that we are proficient in. Let me lower the nose here. I'm getting a little bit slow. Got to make sure. Oh, that's because look at my torque. Jeez, get that torque up there. Watch those temps though. ITT 750. We don't want to temp out here. I was like, oh, why am I slowing down? There's no slowing down on a turbine, dude. There we go. Juice it all the way up. Looking good. 760 on the ITT. Or is it 770? I don't know. It's getting a little hot. Let's bring it back a little bit. It's because we slowed down. We're almost there. Only 2,000 feet to go. But we got to do a... we got to do an engine failure in the Piston Duke to make sure that we're proficient in at least saving the airplane if we lose it. Here's the deal. We're going to have to make a deal that if we crash the airplane, the tour is over. Okay? We cannot crash the airplane. So I got to do a practice V1 engine failure. And we're going to look at some burn numbers. We're going to basically a proving run flight. So we're going to take off normal. We're going to go all the way up to service ceiling. And we're going to look at the fuel flows, the actual fuel flows that we're getting. And then I'm going to write them down. I'm going to write our service ceiling fuel flow. Then I'm going to write down an intermediate fuel flow just to get a rough idea of what the actual airplane is doing compared to the manual. I know what the manual says, but we're going to just dial it in. And then we'll come back down, we'll do a touch and go. On that touch and go, that's when we'll fail the engine, we'll secure the engine, and we'll do a single engine landing in the Piston. That way we're fully proficient. And then we'll be able to kick off the tour. What if there's a rescue plane? Ooh, that could be interesting. We need something if we have to rebuild the engine. Ooh, that's a good idea, Douglas. Okay, so how about a donation goal? That's one hell of a way to monetize the tour. I like it, Douglas. So Douglas came up with this idea. We'll set a number because I can set donation goals. So maybe like divided by like we won't use real dollar value amounts obviously, but if we'll have to have a donation bucket maybe, and say like we can't make any repairs unless we reach a certain donation bucket goal, like $10 or $20, whatever it is. I'll think of something like some formula to make it so it's still a challenge. So we'll have to fly around with broken stuff because we don't just want to fix We don't want to fix anything that's not really needs to be fixed, right? SR-22 is a backup. Test flight be important. Barrow to Dead Horse. Well, Migs, we won't do the test flight where we're going to leave from. We're going to do the test flight from probably somewhere. We might even do it out of Arizona, where I did my multi-engine training. Let's just do it out of Deer Valley or out of Sedona. We'll drop off our Turbine Duke. We'll pick up the Grand Duke in Sedona, and then we'll fly down to Deer Valley. That's what we're going to do. It's all right, boom, perfect. And then it'll just be ferried up there. Someone will have the joy of ferrying it up there. If you crash the Duke, I gotta continue in the Dow's D820. No way. All right, we're leveling off here at 26,000 feet. We're gonna run this one pretty good, so we'll keep torque set about 9. Let's do 900. Bring it back a little bit. Let's bring our props down. 1900. Actually, let's go quiet cruise because we're going to be talking about the engines. So let's get a nice quiet prop. I think 1800 is as low as we go out of the keep out zone there. It might be too slow. How about 1850? We'll split the difference. 1850. 1850 on the props. Torque are almost equal. Let's go 940 on that one. Spurious Podge, my only concern about using the GLN or the KLN 90 is the compatibility is a beta state for 2024. So I would hate to bring something that could cause instability on the tour. So I think what we'll do is we'll rock this layout, a 530 and a 430, but we're going to do a lot of VOR to VOR flying, but there's going to be segments of that flight where we're going to have to use a GPS because I don't think the sim will have all the VORs or the nav aids available. Now we can go VFR, like just pure pilotage as well. Or maybe we should make a, we don't get a GPS until a certain point, you know, maybe have a no Grand Duke repair contribution. Fred B, thanks so much for the $3 super chat. Let's hang tight on that. Appreciate you, man. I got an idea though. Somebody said something about make the donations to a charity, which would be a good idea. I've got the wheels are turning. The wheels are turning. I will come up with a repair idea. Okay, so we can't just repair willy-nilly. I get the wheels are turning. I'll think of something. And then I think an avionics limitation would be cool for this as well. Like maybe we don't get a GPS until we get back down to the 48 state, or we can't use our GPS until we get back down to somewhere to install it. The wheels are turning. Just joined. When and where is this tour? Jeremy, good to see you, man. We're probably going to kick off the end of the week. I don't know if I'm going to do... I might just drop the Atlanta turn that I just picked up so we can kick off on Friday. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, Oscar, I was thinking of something like that. The wheels are turning. The wheels are definitely turning for that. That's a good idea. All right, let's make sure our cruise checks are good. So we are 26,000 feet, 930, props 1850. Fuel flows are looking good. Let's come down here to the engine trend monitor, nav page. Heading, drift, wind drift. What is our wind? Right now it's 270 at 92. My goodness, we got a 92 knot headwind. Oh my goodness. Who decided to fly west? That's not awesome. 1329 local, hour 12 to the destination. Okay, let's go to the fuel page, and I'm going to keep this time remaining. I'm going to keep this in real time so I know how much fuel and time we have remaining. So we've got about 3 hours of fuel. We've got plenty of fuel. All right, cabin is 73 degrees. Wonderful. Let's just get a little bit. 73 is about comfortable, right? That's about right. So we'll do the pressurization air right there. Cabin is pressurized. Everything is good. We're altitude hold. And we can go ahead and close the oil doors here as we enter cruise flight. Miggs, thanks for a $5 super chat. Charity engine repair plus avionics limitation. Just take my money, Barry. Miggs, appreciate the $5 super chat. Yeah, I think this is going to be a good idea. This is a good idea. Jeremy, we're going to be just going from Alaska, the northernmost point in Alaska, all the way down to Patagonia. It's the south of it. We're going to go north to south, the Americas tour. So I'll be able to use, you know what would be cool, Jeremy? I don't know if this is what you're hinting at, but just in general, I think it'd be cool is, you know how we have the Airbus anthem, right? What about some sort of PT6 anthem? Why do I have a master caution? Oh, that's normal. Oil-cooled doors are closed. Okay. So like a PT6 anthem. So maybe not, it doesn't have to be necessarily country-specific or anything, but like anytime we fly a piston or turboprop, we have a turboprop or piston anthem. You know what I'm saying? Could be a cool idea. Get some tick-tick-tick-ticks. Look at how time flies. That extra stripe. Phil, there you go, man. 13 months, dude. Thank you for the support, Phil. Really appreciate that, man. 13 months. Absolutely awesome. Thank you so much, man. Flix says he's getting 77 knots at 24. Maybe we should drop down. What's your ground speed, Flix? Hey, Flix, what's your ground speed?
213.
213. What torque?
I'm burning 35 aside on the engine.
Okay, so we might have to, let's drop down to 24. We're going to do 24. We're going to get out of this wind. We'll nose it down a little bit here. We'll let the speed increase. We'll cruise at 240. I'm calling it now the tick 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 emoji. Ooh. Oh, Jeremy, no worries, man. Yeah, no. I was just thinking, just in general, Jeremy. I think it would be kind of a cool idea. But yeah, don't rush, man. Don't even worry about it. Trust me. I know you got a lot going on in your personal life as well. So don't even prioritize it, man. You take care of what you got to take care of first, and we would love it no matter when it drops. A tick-tick emoji, though. That's it, Miggs. Miggs has got it. So, and you know what I'll do? It'll be a spark plug. Because that's what it is. Or an igniter. Tick-tick-tick. So every time we start up, tick-tick-tick-tick. I love it. All right, cool. Except we're going to be flying the Grand Duke, which is not going to have that. But, all right, Miggs, you're the man. Good idea. Good idea. All right, let's get stabilized at 24, then we'll get into some turboprop breakdowns here, because this is going to be a lot of fun. I've been wanting to talk about, I was going to do a whole turboprop series, kind of like my Freight Dog Piston series, just never got around to it, but this will be kind of a, after we talk about what we're going to talk about, you're going to fully understand this engine right here. You're going to understand why it looks the way it looks. A drain mass on the right side on that engine. That's pretty cool. That's the left side over here. Yeah, you're going to fully understand this engine here after we get through our discussion today. 1,000 to level off. We're right there towards V&E. We're cooking. Let's see if we can level without going over the V&E. Here, hold this spark plug while I turn it over to check for a spark. Al, what's going on, Al? What's going on with the weather, Al? Low vis, misty. It's going to be 80 this weekend, and it's going to be snow and ice the next couple days. Just Texas being Texas, man. 231 is the course. Nice little crosswind here, so we'll set our heading bug, match it up. We're going to level at 240. Look at our ground speeds, definitely picked up, so that will help us there. That's nice. Good idea from Mr. Flix. By the way, did I see Blanco Lirio's latest update? I didn't see the latest update version about the crash, unfortunately. I've kind of just stopped following it. I mean, it's tragic, and I don't want to dwell on it. It was a little weird going back to work. I'll tell you what, it was a little weird flying around day after, 2 days after a major accident that hadn't happened in 15 years or so. But I tell you what, there was not one approach that I did. I just flew 4 days, multiple legs a day. There was not a single approach where I didn't think of that airplane at 300 feet. Every time I hit 300 feet, I kept thinking, gosh, that's where they hit 300. It's low. It is so low. I mean, it is extremely unfortunate. All right, 950 on the props, or excuse me, on the torque. Should be about right. 950, 950. Our temps are good. We're 740. Props are 1850. Look at 210 on the ground speed. Ate a little bit of fuel. Took us down about 20 minutes, but that's all right. We got 2 hours, 48 minutes of fuel. Looking good here. We're cruising now. Joe Plains. Hey, Joe Plains. Thanks for the vids, my man. Appreciate you. That was a lot. That's awesome. Oops. Oh, yeah, Joe Plains. No, it was good. We didn't get sprayed on the way out, but I saw those snowflakes. I'm like, I'm not getting sprayed. It better not start snowing. There's like just like not even snowflakes, just like little wisps. Like, what is going on here? Yeah, but no need, nothing was sticking, so we got lucky. But me and the FO were like, man, wouldn't it just be, because we've both avoided de-icing all season. It's like, watch it be line check, last day, last leg, we got to de-ice. But it held out for us. So verdict on the 7.3 window seat versus bore sounds. Nabil, it's spot on, man. It's so spot on. In a turboprop, how can you tell when your igniters are wearing out when you don't get a light off, Jeremy? So everything, like maintenance, mostly with most aviation in general, is you're going to be, these things, these components on these engines and these airframes, they are checked at times that are, my fuel flow is twitching, it's kind of weird, that they're checked at intervals that is below when they would typically wear out, if that makes sense. So unless one fails, which then you would have an indication of a failed igniter during your light off, or failure to light, which would then be a hung start. So then you would have to do maintenance on that, ventilate. But all right, who's ready to talk about some turboprops? Let me turn this down a little bit more. And we are 120. I tell you what, let's go direct Flagstaff. We'll get out of this wind just a little bit more. That'll really help. We're going to go direct Flagstaff. Yeah, that's going to, because the wind's from 2, there'll be more of a crosswind. There we go. So it'll help our ground speed here. Any interest in the Black Square Starship? I'm interested just because it's Black Square and I love their stuff that they do. But the Starship in general, I'm sure I'll get it and fly it because I love everything Black Square's dropped. But my buddy that I flew citations with, he flew a Starship. He's the only guy I know that's ever flown a Starship. So, I mean, it'd be kind of cool in that aspect to be able to see that. Champion igniter for a PT6 is $445. Installation is $54,000. Yeah. Welcome to airplanes. So I had an igniter story. I was flying out to West Texas. I was out in Lubbock, Texas. Cold morning out there. Sitting on the ramp, get ready to start up. One of the few failures I had in the PT6. I mean, when I flew PT6s, very few failures, issues with the engine specifically. But going through the startup, and I mean, I've done 100 starts, right? You got ignition on, you're got rotation, and everything's timed. I can't remember what the timings were. It's like you got to make sure you have rotation within 10 seconds or something. Rotation just means you see the prop starting to turn out there. You're watching the ITT obviously rise, you're watching the generator spin up, and then you introduce fuel. And then so what I did is I introduced fuel, and they're supposed to, I think it's, I don't know, a couple seconds. You're supposed to have a light off within so many seconds, let's say 5 seconds. And everything was like, all right, boom, 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 light off, boom, 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 light off. And I go to start, boom, 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 no light off. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, no light off. Oh my gosh, abort the start. So fuel lever idle, motor. So then in the or in the 99, instead of the starter switch over here, you'd have start ignition, just like the King Air, to just start motor. And then so basically I'd move the switch back to the motor position to motor the starter, which is ventilating all that fuel that I just dumped into the engine that never got lit. It's important to ventilate because if you leave that fuel in there, you could have a catastrophic failure on a subsequent start attempt, or if for some reason it decides to just light off when it's not supposed to, if you get a spark in there. So it's very important to ventilate after you've had a failed start, clear all that unburnt fuel out. So, but yeah, it was kind of like, man, okay, failed start. Very interesting. So then after it's ventilated, everything is done, then I just went and tested the ignition. I flipped the ignition switch on, and you can hear it, tick, 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 but this time, no sound, no ignition. Okay, so call maintenance, and he's like, all right, well, I need you to go out there and open the cowling, and you know where the igniter box is? Yeah, okay, I got the igniter box right now. I want you to go out there and bang on that igniter box. I'm like, what? It's like, yeah, tap on the igniter box. Sometimes these things just need to be woken up. That's what he said to me. I'm like, okay. So, bang on the igniter box, close the cowling, go to start. Tick, 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 tick. She's alive. So, I don't know if that's an authorized maintenance procedure, but it worked, and fired up, and on our way we went. So, good old PT6. Just like the starter on a car. Yeah. Good news, weather in Barrow, Alaska this Friday, Saturday, sunny and clear skies. Bad news is it could be -10. Ooh, but I think we already knew that. Yeah, that'll be pretty dang cold, Biggs. But that should be good. That should be good. We might be able to start this Friday, Saturday. I was curious how in a jet setting the ignition switch to continuous wouldn't wear the igniters out faster. I guess in theory, Jeremy, they could start to wear, but again, they're designed to wear at a certain pace, right? So running them constantly, yes, I'm sure it will run down sooner than one that isn't run constantly, but it's still going to be checked and replaced at a regular inspection interval than failing, most likely. All right, let's take a look at this. So, no patience for this. Thank you for the $5 super chat, man. I appreciate you. When in doubt, bang it out, get a latte. Hey, no patience for this, my man. I appreciate you. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Got myself a nice tea here today, right now. So, appreciate you. I will definitely be picking up a latte for tomorrow's stream if we get back in the Grand Duke. But thank you so much, man, for the support. Awesome stuff, man. Kieran Pot says, when I flew the 90, we only had one problem with the PT6. It was a hole burnt in one of the stators, but the engines were pretty close to overhaul. Oh, wow. Yeah. Got a hole burnt in a stator. Very interesting. I bet they had some high time on that. Close to an overhaul, it had to be. Okay, so looking at our engine, let's address the elephant in the room first, and that is, why is the air going into the back of the engine? So if I look, I can do multiple views here, which is kind of cool. So the intake is right here. You see, and we got a little bit of a de-ice, like a de-ice boot, anti-ice boot situation going on there for the intake. It's not a boot, though. It's just to help, I guess, reduce ice buildup on the intake. The intake sits in front, but it runs, this whole thing runs below the engine, and this air is not routed into the motor until it reaches the back. So this is why it's called a reverse flow turbine, or reverse flow engine. So the flow is coming in, but then it is reversed, and then eventually it's going to be reversed again out through the exhaust. So we'll take the big parts first. This is the exhaust, the little whiskers, and then we got the intake. So these are your exhaust up here and your intake here. So air is going in, it's going in, doing all the engine things, and then it is expelled right out through those exhaust stacks. Okay, those are the big parts there. Now, let's go ahead and let's follow the air. Let's see where the air is going and what it is subject to. So as the air enters the intake, the first thing we're going to pass is the inertial separator. We've talked about this before. This is the technique or the method used to remove contaminants, FOD, heavy rain to remove this stuff from getting sucked up into the compressor stage of the engine and reducing life, increasing wear, reducing performance. Now the problem is when you use the inertial separator, you are inherently going to lose a little bit of performance, and you're inherently going to run a little bit hotter because it's going to increase the temperature that the engine is running at, because you are actually reducing the amount of airflow. So if I turn on my inert sep, you can see here it comes. Here comes, it's an actual door that's going to run, it's going to open down, it's going to open in the downward position. And what would happen in theory is, let's say you sucked in a rock, okay, make it simple for explanation. You sucked in a rock, well that rock is going to not be able to fit through the inertial separator, and it's going to be deflected down and out. Okay, so you're protecting the engine from ingesting FOD by this way here of this inertial separator. Now, I'll be curious. Look at that. Look at our torque dropped off, so that actually worked. It's obviously it's modeled. So with the reduction of airflow because of the inertial separator, it also reduces the power the engine is outputting. So look, I'm running 100 torque less than the right, and I'm running the same ITT. So if I were to try to match this torque, run it up to 930, well, this is going to get up there too. So this engine is running hotter and it's performing less. So it's a trade-off. But when conditions warrant the use of the ice deflector or the inertial separator, it's much better to use it than not. So this is the inertial separator right here, and the positives and negatives. So we don't need it up at cruise. And again, what's really cool is if you're like, oh, I don't know if I should use it here, Black Square includes a percentage of FOD intensity that you're ingesting. I think on the ground it was, what, 4%? Now, this will change depending on where you are. If you're on a dirt strip, the intensity is going to be up. It reads the type of surface area that you are on, and it will adjust the intensity. And if you don't use the inertial separator when you're supposed to, you are going to wear the engine down faster. So, and you will cause damage over time. So, I love the detail that they have for that. All right, so our first step, again, these are just part of the inertial separator, and you can see here, here's another flap. You see, so this flap is also closing here. I guess that would be the extract. What's the technical term? Someone probably knows what the name of this is here. This is the inertial separator. I don't know if this is like a extract vent or whatever they call this area here, where that FOD would eject from the engine. All right. Since airflow affects engine performance, does this mean the engine performance can be affected by angle of attack? It does, Jeremy. It does. Bypass. There we go. It's probably a bypass. Yep. A bypass. Thank you. Big brain today. Look, I'm about 4 hours of sleep. I was up for like 28 hours yesterday. Been a long night. But I love turboprops, and I haven't flown one in 15 years, but I still love them. It's my favorite thing ever. My FO was a former ATR guy. Really cool. So we had a lot of fun. Every time we did a single attack, just like, feather 2. Feather 2. So we were pretending to fly the Airbus like a turboprop. It's a lot of fun. All right, so we passed the inert sep. The air is going to split off here, and it's going to go through an over the oil cooler radiator, which we'll come back to, but let's just follow the main airflow here. So we're going to continue to follow the airflow up, and now this is the first reversal of the airflow. So the airflow is now being reversed forward into a set of axial compressors, or axial guide vanes, I guess, and then a compressor turbine. So it goes through the axial stage, and then it comes through here, 1, 2, 3, and then you have a compressor. This is like we showed when we did the turbocharger stream. You know, it's like cupped disc, and it's going to start to spin, and as that air flows through there, it spins this turbine, which then in turn increases the amount of density that is the air is being filled. It's a self-sustaining compressor. Okay, it's compressing that air, making it very, very, very dense. Now, as this dense air passes through the compressor stage, it's going to be rerouted. Centrifugal compressor, thank you. It's going to be routed up into what I just like to call the burner can. Okay, and this is where the magic happens. All right, so the cold, the blue air here is air that's not ignited yet. So I want you to pay attention to the colors. The cool compressed air comes up, it gets vented through the burner can. Now, the very nature of the burner can and the way this air is flowing, it is designed kind of like, what is it, Bernoulli, where if you have to, or kind of like a wing. Basically, the shape of the burner can, the shape that the direction that the air is flowing is also increasing its speed by its design. Okay, it's not just a willy-nilly design in here. It's designed specifically to keep the speed of the air up. Okay, nice dense air, high speed. As it passes this part of the burner can, look at there. What is this? This is fuel. So we've got fuel coming from the fuel control unit, which is basically just a computer telling. Think of it like a FADEC. Okay, it's not a FADEC, but it's the computer that determines how much fuel is going to be sent to the burner can, because you can't burn air without fuel, right? So if you follow the fuel path, we'll take a break here. We'll stop here where air is getting mixed. We've got our wing tank. There's our wing pump. You can see I can turn it on if need to. The aux pump is downline. Okay, there it is. We don't need either of those unless conditions warrant. Okay, we got two pumps. Right now it's just doing its own Venturi style of flow. Okay, so it's going to bring that fuel through the fuel heat exchanger, which we'll get back to. That's related to the oil cooler. But that fuel goes through the fuel filter clog. That's where it would be. All right, goes through the FCU. That fuel is now routed and sent to where that compressed air is. A nice cold air. That nice cold air is now mixed with fuel in the burner can, and it's ignited. Now, how do we ignite the fuel? Well, right now we have a running engine, so we have a steady stream of flame. Think of a blowtorch, okay? Once you light a blowtorch, the very nature of the torch is going to keep the flame on unless you do what? Cut the fuel off. Okay, you don't need ignition. You don't need another spark there. Once you ignite a blowtorch, it's on until you cut the fuel off, all right? But how did we ignite this? Well, these are our igniters right here. Think of them like spark plugs, all right? So when you hear that tick, 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 I'm going to go ahead and turn on the ignition for number 1. There we go. So that's the igniters. They're going on. So now you would only turn these on in flight if need be. Like say you're flying in heavy rain or maybe single engine. You want to protect a good engine. Now in auto, the igniter will only ignite when it's below a certain torque number. I can't remember what it is in this thing here, but basically below a certain torque. That's like when we said we're setting takeoff power. Want to make sure the igniter lights extinguish on the dash, because that means that the igniters are now that we don't really need you have enough power that you don't need to run the ignition. But that's what's going to light your blowtorch. Okay, now this little thing here, that's the flame. That's the actual flame. So this compressed air is mixed with fuel, ignited. We've got the blowtorch on. All right, so we've got the fuel that it ignited, and now this air through the designed routing is going to reverse again. So how many times did we reverse? Let's see, we went one reversal. Okay, then it reversed twice, and now it's going to reverse again. So after it's ignited, it's sped up through the design, through the shape of the burner can, and as it's extracting through the burner can out through the exhaust, we're going to pass through the compressor turbine, which is in here. This turbine is going to spin the centrifugal compressor, or it's going to spin the compressor over here to speed up the compression, right? So it's self-sustaining. So now we've got more flow. This turbine is spinning, compressing the air over here, and then it's also passing through another I guess it would be a turbine, right? Another turbine, the power turbine. That power turbine is the word I was looking for. Power turbine, and then out through the exhaust. Now, where we're going to get into specifics is, if you look here, I mentioned this on the ground, there is no connection here. So in, say, a jet engine, when you go over, I mean, this is essentially a jet engine, okay? But the difference is this is not connected here. This is a free spinning turbine. So theoretically, you could stop the propeller from spinning, and the air going through here is not going to damage the engine, okay? So theoretically, if you feather the propeller on the ground, you're not really going to damage the engine, because this is just a free spinning turbine. It is not connected to the compressor stage at all. All right, that's what makes the PT6 very unique. There's other turboprop engines out there that are not this way. They're a direct, or what is it, direct shaft, or basically not a free-flowing turbine, and it would damage the propeller. Think of the Metroliner. Okay, Metroliner's one of them. Berzelius, another one of them, I believe. So those things, those propellers, depending on which engine we're talking about, they run completely different. They basically are always running at 100%, and then you're adjusting the amount of fuel. So we won't get into that discussion. Let's stay with the PT6. But free-flowing turbine spins these wheels. These turbines that spin up here, this is connected to the propeller. Okay, so after it spins up the turbines, this is where we get our power, it's going to go through a series of reduction gears. Okay, these are just this gearbox right here, and this is a chip detector. Now, this is a very important thing. I also had a chip detect go off. So a chip detector is, think of it like a magnet. Okay, this is a very dumbed down explanation of a chip detector, but if you have a circuit, in order for the circuit to turn a light on in the cockpit, you need to close the circuit, right? Because electricity can't go through air. Can't jump through air, essentially. Go pretend with me here. So what happens is, if metal shavings are to be found in the gearbox, which is where they would be found, because this is a very high heat, high intensity, a lot of stuff going on here. This is a really simplified drawing, and for good reason, because we don't need to get into the weeds of the gearbox and the reduction gears in here. But there is a lot of metal on metal happening, and there's a lot of torque, and there's a lot of spinning going on in here. So if you are to start shaving pieces of metal off, what happens is those pieces of metal then collect at the chip detector, which then completes the circuit, lighting the chip detect switch or chip detect light in the cockpit. So if you get a chip detect, you know, hey, I'm shaving metal in my production gearbox. Not a good sign. Probably going to have some sort of power failure at some moment if it goes unchecked. Okay, so chip detector, that's a big one. Also a more common issue to have, because if you really dive deep, I'm sure you can find some really good YouTube videos on how the gearbox works. But there's a whole lot going on in here, and it's pretty incredible, actually, how we've come up with these designs. But that is a high failure point, or a higher failure point. All right, after it goes through the reduction gearbox, it then passes through the governor. We'll talk about governors at a later day, but basically the governor is going to limit the propeller, right? We did our governor check, so it doesn't just spin out of control. Uses a pilot valve and centrifugal force, essentially. So a governor, quick breakdown. Think of two flyweights spinning, and if the centrifugal force becomes too much or the speed becomes too much, those flyweights begin to open up. And when they open up, they move the pilot valve, which then changes the oil pressure in the hub, which then moves the propeller back down to the RPM that it wants to be at. That's your quick and dirty governor review. And then the prop would be right out here. So what's really cool is when you start the PT6, you're like, hey, how come I see the NG and I see everything spinning up to speed, but I don't have rotation outside yet? And that's because it's free-flowing, right? These compressors begin to spin before you have enough air flow or power to spin up the power turbine, which then moves the prop. So even though these are starting to spin at high speed, that prop takes a second to start to turn. And then you see it turns real slow, and then it gets faster and faster and faster and faster, and then we're up to speed. All right? So that is a PT6 reverse flow free turbine breakdown in 5 minutes. Now there's a couple other things we're going to look at on here. Questions so far. Let's make sure everything is looking good here. We got a message inside airspace. Approaching VNAV profile, set course 217. Are we really? We're 100 miles out. Man, this is happening fast. All right, cool. We're doing good. Look, I haven't touched the power once, but when I closed the inert SEP, it went right back to where it was supposed to be. Flight Sim School, man, appreciate it. Says, I love the PT6 edutainment. Yeah, man, again, this is all to be taken with, grains of salt. I'm explaining it without just a modified, simplistic diagram here, but it's good enough for Flight Sim. It's definitely good enough for Flight Sim. Thanks for the support, man. Appreciate you. The Osprey that crashed in Japan last year got a multiple chip detector warning before it crashed. Ooh, not good. That's because I didn't know that. So the Osprey was suffering from chip detect. Wow. Matavius or Mavius. This is the Turbine Duke PT6. Right. The V22 engines are really complex because they have to run facing up and horizontally, which makes lubrication incredibly complex and slow. So that makes sense then. So we're talking about the chip detect and power issues. So this gearbox here is only working in one direction, right? Unlike the Osprey, like Slow was saying. So this is a pretty, we've got a pretty good idea. It's a much, there's less, what is the word? There's less situations that are, there are less challenges to running a gearbox that is fixed. Having a rotating gearbox is going to be extremely challenging to nail because you have to think about, well, how do you keep the proper lubrication going when the gearbox is in rotation? So that's pretty cool. All right, since we're talking about the gearbox, let's talk about how we lubricate the gearbox. So remember I said we come back to the oil cooler. To understand the oil cooler, we got to understand why we need cool oil, okay? Well, if you think about it, the friction from the gearbox is going to create heat. So the heat from the gearbox is going to warm the oil. That warm oil is going to leave the gearbox. It's going to be routed up around the engine, hot oil, and it's going to pass through the fuel heat exchanger, or fuel heater in this case. Now, I don't believe this is not really a fuel, I guess it is technically a fuel heat exchanger. But we're using the downside of cooling the engine in the gearbox, we're using the negative effect of hot oil to our benefit to do what? Warm our fuel. Because if you're flying at high altitudes for long periods of time, that fuel is going to get very cold. Okay? If warm fuel is going to be better for the combustion. So we use the heat from the hot oil to pass through the fuel heater to warm the fuel before it passes through the filter and goes to the fuel control unit. All right? So now that oil is also what? That hot oil is also cooling. So it's doing two benefits. We've taken one negative of the gearbox heat and we've created two benefits. We're going to not only cool the oil, we're also going to warm the fuel. So now that cooler oil is going to be recycled back down to the hub assembly. This is a filter, I believe, right here. It's going to be strained, make sure there's no contaminants, back into the sump. All right. Now, the other form of cooling the oil is through the oil cooler. Now, the oil cooler is, think of it like a radiator. It's going to take that, a portion of that intake air, I said we'd come back to it at the very beginning, a portion of that intake air is going to be rerouted to go over the, essentially, radiator to help cool the oil as well before it enters into the governor. All right. Now, the oil cooler in the Duke specifically is kind of unique. There's a couple things you got to do to, you can increase cooling, especially on hot days when the fuel may not be that cold. So how are we going to cool the oil if the fuel's not cold? Well, we use the oil cooler. Now, if you need more airflow over the radiator, we're going to open the oil cooler doors. That's why on ground, in climb, on approach, or in a high density altitude environment where it's hot, you're going to want the oil cooler doors open because that's going to aid in cooling the oil, because the fuel's probably not going to cool it that much. If 120 degrees outside, you're sitting on the ramp in Sedona, I guarantee you your fuel ain't that cold. So the oil cooler is necessary to kind of work as a two-step, two-factor authentication process of keeping the oil cool going into the hub. We also need to start thinking about descending down here. So BKG Blueface, thank you so much, man, for the 5 gifted memberships. Very kind of you, sir. If you pick up a membership from BKG Blueface, make sure you shout them out, say thank you. Again, very, very kind of you. I'm going to set 17.5 for VFR. Let's go ahead and set attitude mode. Let's nose it down a hair. Let's bring a little power off the airplane. It's going to be a long descent. We're about 27 minutes from Flagstaff. We're going to get down to a VFR altitude, 500 feet per minute. We're looking good. But again, BKG, thank you so much, man, for the support. All right. One other thing we'll hit on here before we start paying attention to landing in Sedona is the P25 and P3 pressure valve, because these are important and these are bottled, and I have seen a failure of this in the Duke on 2020 when I was messing with the Turbine Dukes back in the day. Nabil says, love this, gonna rewatch it because it's a ton of info to digest, but really valuable. Nabil, awesome, man. Yeah, I'm glad you enjoy it, man. And again, I'm sure there's, I know there are AMPs out there and engineers out there. They're like, well, technically, you got to do this, and I get it, and I understand. But again, this is flight simulator, simulated, big picture descriptions. So, Mick says, if there's icing conditions, does any snow ice get dealt with by the burner can, or is it effectively melted and get filled up before it gets to the compressor? Loving the lesson. Mick, theoretically, it wouldn't get that far, okay? Because if you're ingesting snow and ice, if you're, let's say you're operating on in heavy snow, the inert SEPs should be on, and that should be taking care of that moisture. Now, any moisture left, theoretically, yeah, it's going to be heated up, and it's just not really going to be an issue. But it's going to what? It's going to reduce performance, okay? So, I mean, theoretically, if you were running the engine and then you just put 2 fire hoses on it, it may not flame out, but you're probably going to lose a little bit of performance, because now you're adding an extra step of what has to happen. Not only, you can't burn water, right? So now you've got to take some of that heating to evaporate the water to then make it air to then burn it. So you're going to lose some performance. Theoretically, right? So, but yeah, it'll get from, and think about the compression too, slow bronze up. So anytime you compress something, what happens? It gets hot, right? So let's just say, for the sake of the discussion, yeah, you had the inert SEPs open, you're sucking in snow. Well, as that snow goes through the compression, it's going to warm up, right? Cool. Okay, so the last thing is the P2.5 valve. Now, the T2, P2 probes we look at on the engines outside on the Airbus and the IAE V2500s, not quite the same situation, but in the PT6, what this valve does is, at low power setting, it regulates how much air is actually going to be sent to the burner can. All right, so at a low power setting, the valve is actually going to open, and it's going to reduce airflow going into the engine to produce power. The valve is supposed to fail, or if the valve fails in the open position, which happened to me in the Duke, you're going to notice a reduced power output at a set power setting. So if I were to set takeoff thrust, I'm like, why is my torque not coming up and everything else is normal? I can assume that I probably have a T2 or a P25 valve failure, some type of high pressure valve failure, because it's stuck open, therefore it's dumping the air out and I'm not getting the power that I need. AJ Funari, thank you so much for the 10 gifted memberships, man. Oh, look, I come back and it's a lame Telluride to Sedona flight. What's up, man? Good to see you, AJ. Yeah, sorry, I knew you had a meeting today, so I figured I'd do a stream. I figured it'd be a good time to do the stream. But thanks for the 10 gifted membership, Bomb, dude. Appreciate you. We've just been talking about PT6s and super boring stuff, so nothing to worry about here. So there's a low pressure and a high pressure. The same will be true in the opposite form, but I just want to put a note on that, because that is something that you can have a power problem and you don't know what the power is. Think of this as like the regulator when we talked about turbochargers, not turboprops, but like, remember we talked about there's the brain of the series of bellows. That's the brain of the turbocharger. This is kind of doing the same thing, although it's definitely different, but it's regulating the airflow to the burner can at different power settings to provide optimal and peak performance from the engine at all power settings. Now, P3, that air, let's go one step further before we get too far out. Maddie K, thank you so much, man, for 5 gifted memberships as well. Appreciate you. Very kind, Maddie. If you pick them up from Maddie, make sure you say thank you, too. We'll take this one step further here. That P3 valve, okay, is going to take air from the compressor, run it through an intercooler, and that's what's going to pressurize the cabin. So you're taking air from the compressor stage, not the burn stage, because you don't want to vent exhaust into the cabin, right, to pressurize. You want to just vent regular air into the cabin. So you take that compressed air and you run that, you steal it from the P3, and then you run that into the cabin, right? That also passes an intercooler, kind of the same thing going on there through the oil situation, right? Intercooler, compressed air, oil, intercool exchanger into the cabin. Now, I want to hit on this real quick here, this P3, because we have 2 big red handles over here. Should you have some sort of failure of your engine where maybe something in your compressor, maybe you blew a disc and the engine just, it's a mess, right? So now it is smoking. That air is going to be vented into the cabin unless you do one of these things here. You pull the pressurization air handle on the associated engine, and what that's going to do is it's going to cut off. What's that noise? Oh, geez, we're leveling. Okay, it's one of those 18.5. It's going to. What is beeping at me? Do you guys hear something beeping? Oh, Jesus, the airspeed. I was like, not used to that overspeed alarm. We can talk about turboprops, but I can't identify an overspeed. Well, now we know what it sounds like. It's your plane BIOS. That's what I was thinking, AJ. I was like, man, is that... The Citation had something like that for the battery temp. So that's why I was looking over here. I was like, is that a battery temp alarm going off? No, that's the airspeed. We're overspeeding V&E. It's okay. We're fine. It's a Turbine Duke. We're fine. We'll be fine. Semantics. Rigorian, welcome to Commercial Pilot, man. Glad to have you on board. Thank you for the support. And Matty K, thanks again, man, for another $10 super chat, Matty K. Really appreciate that, dude. Says, I've been a while since I've been able to drop in on a stream. Life's been busy. Love the channel, bud. Keep it rolling. Hey, Matty K, I intend to do that. Thank you so much for the support, Matty K, the gifted subs, and a $10 super chat, man. Very kind of you. Appreciate the support. So just to finish up there real quick, it actually shows you the valve. This is the valve right here. So this will close, prohibiting any engine air from getting into the cabin. So maybe you blow a bottle, you have an engine fire, you want to isolate. That'd be one of the first things you do, because that could kill you too. Those fumes can kill you. So you want to isolate, and that would be why there are nice big red handles over there. All right. I think that pretty much hit everything. Got our fire bottle over here. I believe this is for the gear actuator. So this is the. No, that can't be you. I don't know what the G is. What's the G? I'm not sure what that is representing there. I think we hit on everything though. Oh, generator. Duh. At some point, we have to get power from the engine. Duh. Okay, so we talked about all this stuff for like how we power the propeller. Where do you get actual juice from the engine to power everything else, charge your batteries? Well, at the back of the engine, you have an accessory gearbox, which is going to house the generator. Duh. And you can see the generator spins through a series of gears over here. This would be I guess this is the accessory gearbox right here, mounted on the back of the engine. And that's where you get your juice. That's what you get your power from. All right, up through the inverter, etc. There you go. Yeah, flicks down. Fake pilot. That's fake pilot there. Well, yeah. How do we skip the generator? Probably the whole purpose of this engine. With is that the gear? Oh yeah, the gear uses the hydraulic. The gear uses the oil sump oil to lower the gear. Wouldn't that be something? Talk about spiking your ITT. You got to shift all that oil to lower the gear. Have some problems. All right. Rigorian. Jeez. I need a nap for sure, dude. I need a nap. I need some good food. But no, I'm having fun, man. It's good to I just wanted to fly the Duke. I love this freaking airplane so much. No, Adam. We actually had the wife and wife picked me up with the kids. They were out doing a co-op thing today. So before the stream, I went and got my tea. So I got my tea here. That's for straight G's. You wouldn't know about that. Jeez. All right. Did I miss anything now? I don't think I missed anything now. Make sure everything else looks pretty good. Not really showing on here. I bet it's showing over here. Oh, that's what we're going to have to talk about next. Is pressurization and heating. Maybe how that works. So what's cool is you see me pulling these pressurization air heats. So the way I understand it in the Duke is this has been repurposed in the Turbine Duke to basically vent pressurization, intercooler air. Let's see, if I push it in, it opens it to cool, keep it nice cool. So by pulling this out, I limit the intercooler air, thus increasing the temperature more rapidly. All right, so we'll have to talk about cabin pressurization later. But I was reading up about this after I was trying to find the auto feather switch. I got over here because this is slightly different than the piston Duke. But the turbine Duke here, again, is for basically getting more heat into the cabin quickly. So that's what got to crack those pressurizations, especially up here. I mean, we're at 17.5. It's not too big of a deal, but you're cruising around, what, 30,000 feet? I think the service ceiling is. So very cold up there. Very cold up there. But we'll have to break this down later. Oh, you can see now the heat's turning back on. Oh, that's cool. That's the combustion. I mean, that's cool, man. Very cool. So we'll have to look at that later. All right. Let's go back here. We are 13 minutes from Flagstaff. Let's enjoy some outside views. And should we do sunset? Let's do sunset landing. It's 1:05 sim time. Let's run it forward. Oh gosh. That changes the weather a little bit, so a little bit of destabilization there. We'll run it like that. You know what's interesting, Vodka, is I feel like I got that little stutter back on this one. I don't know why. I don't know, maybe sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I don't know. Something I feel like is spiking because I see this spike every now and then. Maybe it won't. Maybe not anymore. I don't know. For a second I thought I had that little spike thing happening again. FPS monitor? What's an FPS monitor? I just feel like we just need to listen to like some cool beat for the turbine dude. Nope. Oh, I'm not going to dev mode. I ain't doing that. 2024 performance issues? Shocking. No, I don't have any performance issues. I thought I saw something jumping when I was panning around, but I guess not. I sped the time forward just a little bit, man, so we can enjoy just chilling. Bring out our table here. I should have a XTX 24 gig GPU coming tomorrow. Ooh. My wife just booked our hotel for Sedona in early June. Mr. Martini, fantastic, man. My wife used to live up there. I'm gonna see if Whiskey can modify this for 24, kind of clean up that dynamic registration issue. Would you ever buy a turbine, dude? Yeah. If I could afford one. Adam, we're almost there, man. Only about 15 minutes out. Any ambitions for Flight Sim Expo? What do you mean? I thought about trying to register as like a partner and do a presentation on what makes, in my opinion, what makes a flight simulator realistic, or how to improve realism on your flight simulator of choice. You know, I have to make it so it's not like. I was like, nah, I don't want to speak at the expo. I just want to go incognito. But a lot of people ask me that questions. Mr. Martini, there's a couple of them up there, man. Sedona Air Tours is, I think, probably the main one. There's a couple, Mr. Martini. I'm sure you just Google. They'll all be there at the airport. I'm sure they've changed since the last time I've been there too. Have I heard of Gilbert, Arizona? Oh yeah, been there a bunch of times. Is EGT important? Yes. Exhaust gas temperature is very important, because if your exhaust gas temperature is too hot, you're probably going to start melting something that shouldn't be melting. Oh, that's a cool view right there. That's the mountain. That's Flagstaff Mountain right there. You used to go snowboarding down that. Any excited about the Indie Builds presentation? When is that? What time is that at tomorrow? What time is the Indie Builds presentation tomorrow? Pink Jeep Air Tours. Ooh, there's, yeah, Pink Jeep Air Tours. Or Pink Jeep. Yeah, there's like a Jeep touring thing too, Mr. Martini. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Mr. Martini, I'll try to ask my wife. I'll say if there's any must-sees that you got to do while you're out there. I'll text her. I'll be like, hey, Mr. Martini's going to Sedona. What are some must-dos? 10Z. Fuck, you're not on the hype train. I'm assuming this is a 350, right? I mean, I'm hyped for the 350. I'll be completely honest with you. I really want to. I want to see a couple things. I'm probably not going to watch the whole stream. I just want to see if a couple things are different than like their Neo, because like there's still some inconsistencies in the 321 Neo. It's kind of like, yeah, it's fine. But how many times we've flown the Indie Builds 321 Neo on stream, right? It hasn't been very much. So I'm hoping the 350 cleans up some of the things that I've noticed. I just hope it's optimized. So does having a turbo mean your performance isn't affected by it? Yes, correct, Jeremy. So essentially what a turbo does is it makes the engine think that it's getting dense air at sea level at high altitude up until it reaches a critical altitude, which it can no longer perform that, but it is still better than nothing. So because remember, an engine's horsepower is rated sea level at a standard temperature and a standard atmospheric conditions. 2992 15C at sea level. That's a standard day. Yeah, turbo helps you bring increased dense air up at the high altitude. Usually their paid products seem to be better developed. The pixelated, you're absolutely right. Their Indie Build, the 310 or the 300 Premium, I had a great stream once, and then I tried to stream it again, and I had issues. But here's my problem, and I think I I think we all are going to have to come to a realization about this. 16 gigabytes of RAM is not enough. Where's that one song that Mickey G always likes? 16 gigabytes of VRAM is not enough to run the sim. I think we just all have to accept that. Which I have a 16 gigabyte card right now. It's not enough. So I wish I had 32 gigabytes. I wish, Mr. Martini. But I picked up an XTX AMD card. I can't believe I'm going to do it. I can't believe I'm going to switch over to AMD. I can't believe I'm doing it. But I need that. I need that 24 gigabytes of RAM. Does critical altitude change with environmentals? Theoretically, Jeremy, yes. Your supercharger will have a published critical altitude, and it will be they'll publish it as a pressure altitude. So the answer to your question is yes, but it's a little bit more complex than that. It's why I find it hard to move from my 3090. Yeah, Migs, I would not ditch a 3090 for anything else that doesn't have 24 gigs of VRAM. And I would say that to anybody. I'd be like, look, if you have a 24 gigabyte card right now, VRAM, do not get a 4080 or a 5080, 5070, anything that has less than 24 gigs of VRAM. It's not worth it. The sim is not meant to operate on less than that, especially if you're going 2K and above. Now, you can probably get away with it in 1080p, you know, doing minor stuff, but if you're hardcore and you're going to be flying hardcore add-ons in busy airspace with sceneries, it is of my opinion that 24 gigs is the minimum. Right now on the Duke, I get 30-ish FPS with my 3060 Ti. It sucks. Oh, man. I'm really disappointed with my card. I was so excited for my 4060, and then I'm running into VRAM on the new sim. Yeah, Holden. Hey, dude, I hear you, man. It's frustrating, I know. And I know they've talked about optimization and stuff, but I just don't think it's going to be... I don't think they could magically make this sim run great on 16 gigabytes of VRAM when it's guys with 24 gigs, they're eating up 18, 19, 20 gigs of RAM just in general, so I don't know. Auto FPS, though, Felix, yeah, auto FPS, 100%. I should probably start running that again. I ran the early version of that in 2020 on my 3090. Must have. I don't know why I haven't installed it yet for this sim, but yeah, auto FPS or dynamic LOD mod, absolutely. Absolutely. So 24 is dependent on VRAM? Yes, 100%. I was looking at RTX 5080s. Yeah, Matty K, if you already have 24 gigs of VRAM, don't get... it would be my opinion to not get a 5080. If Microsoft Flight Sim is your primary goal, you gotta go 24 gigs or more. Yeah, I agree with you. Well, I wish AMD was throwing 32 gigabytes of VRAM into their cards. Then I would have had no issue. I mean, I still got the XTX card before the prices blew up. I bought it. I mean, you guys were on point with telling me to get it when I should. But if there was an AMD card that had 32 gigs of VRAM, I'd be all over it. All over it. All right, we're passing over Flagstaff. And Sedona is going to be just off down there. Oh, that's cool. I used to stop at a McDonald's right here before going to the mountain. .5080 is good if you play the childish shooter games like that. What's your opinion for CPUs? You're going to have to speak to someone else that's got more experience with them pixelated. This is my first AMD CPU in 20 years. And I really can't complain. I give a lot of crap to AMD just because I always have to blame something. That's what good pilots do. We find excuses. But I can't complain. Get this, Vodka. When I booted up the PC today, my monitor booted up. I don't know how or why, but my 2K monitor booted up first, logged in, and then my regular 1080p side monitor booted up, as I would always expect it to. But I don't know why it just did it today. I haven't turned the computer on in 5 days. I wonder if there's like some... It's not like, do you think it's sleeping? I don't know. I don't... Yeah, I was like, what? Booted up properly. The only other thing that drives me nuts is my microphone that I run. I have to unplug it and replug it for it to power up, too. I don't know why that is. It's like... Maybe it's not detecting it until I plug it in. Maybe that's a driver thing. I got excited about the prospect that it might get a BIOS update. Well, if I'm putting in a new card, I will probably do a BIOS update, yeah. Bourbon of choice, nightcapper, sip if you will. Man, I pulled way back on the bourbon. I pulled way back, but the nightcap Woodford double oaked, man. I've pulled way back. Matter of fact, I can't tell you last time I had a bourbon, honestly. Pulled way back. Since the start of the year, anyway. It's been a month. It's got AI tech and it knows Barry Seal time this weekend. Gosh, you're making me wish I didn't pick up that Atlanta trip. You'll have to update BIOS if you want to run the 9800X3D. But I'm not going to run a 9800X3D. I got the 7800. Aviation Virtual Spotter. Man, I'm sorry to hear that. Well, maybe it should be time to boot up 2024 then. All right, we're about to turn. Cinematic turn to says. Oh, look at that. I have my LOD turned way down. I forgot because we flew the Airbus last. I have my LOD turned way down. Oh well. We got this far. All right, let's close it up. Close up that. Let's go to work. Juice up the sounds a little bit here. All right, inbound to says 17 miles out, 187 on the track. Let's put this, scroll on down here. Let's take a look at the airport informations. Says runways 21 recommended. We don't want a 16 knot tailwind. All right. We'll land 2-1. We'll take a look at the visual approach. What? Arrivals, departures, miscellaneous. What? Let's pull out this chart because maybe I can see the. Yeah, I have to use the RNAV chart to see the airport facility directory. So 2-1. We're going to land 2-1. I'm going to do a couple things. I'm going to put us in heading mode. So we'll go heading mode. I'm going to put us in attitude mode. We'll spin that down. Start descending. I'm going to turn everything off here and fly it. I'm going to spin the course line to be 210. That's the runway course. Now we're going to fly midfield downwind. Or we're going to fly midfield, I guess. I'm going to start down. It should be right there, yep. So nose it on over, bringing that power back. What's field elevation in Sedona? It's 4831. Down we go. Field elevation is set. Let's bring some more power back. And let's get the cam up. Let's just hand fly an approach. Is there a CTAF for this place? It's 23 nothing. Same as Telerad. Sedona traffic, Duke 357 Bravo. So we're going to pass overhead. Disregard. We're about 10 miles to the north. We'll set up for a right Correction for a left downwind for 2-1, so no traffic. We're going to go for a little tour here, chat. We'll go for a tour of the mountains because I want to see what this looks like. There's the airport right there. We dive down and enter it up, and I'm going to fly us down over the mountains, and then we'll come back around and rejoin. How about that?
Traffic November 1 Echo Romeo, 15 miles to the north, and be entering the overhead for runway 21.
Oh, look at this. Beep, 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 beep. Down we go. Pete Ski. Pete Ski the GOAT, man. Thank you for 10 gifted memberships. Pete Ski, that is awesome, my man. Thank you so much for the support, Pete. If you pick up a membership from Pete Ski, make sure you shout out and say thank you. Very, very kind. Thank you, sir. Touchdown 47, let's call it 48. 58 is 1,000 above. 5,800 feet is set. Let's hand fly. Well, I don't want to hand fly just yet because I want to look. I want to look out here. Man, that looks beautiful. We're going to go for a little tour here. I wouldn't be surprised if NVIDIA stops doing consumer products and focuses more on enterprises, leaving us only AMD and Intel GPUs. Oh boy, wouldn't that be something? So I'm going to put this on suspend mode. Oh no. OBS mode. Yeah, 2-1. So I've got it on OBS mode, 2-1 for the runway. But we're going to spin out over here to the left. We're going to fly over these mountains. Get the maximum juice. Let's do a Magic Barrel ref update, and the descent 3000 is set. Take a heading of about 150. That looks great down there. Nate, what's up? Sorry I'm late to look for a SOP with camel stream. Been a while since I've flown SOP with camel. I wonder if put this on terrain mode. Zoom the map out a little bit. I forget what I was going to say. Disregard. Why do you put the wind on the Airbus sometimes at 0 if it's 5 knots, but others you put in the wind? What should I put in zeros? Well, the only time I put in 0 is if the wind is calm, or if it's variable at 3. You know, I only put zeros if the winds are at 0. Ah, look at that. Now in real life, there's a little bit more red out here. Sedona red rocks. Fly out south of the field, and we'll join downwind. I kind of want to fly through these mountains here. There she is, Sedona Airport. What are the winds again?
Traffic November 1 Echo Romeo overhead and
190 at 20, gust 27. Jeez, 20, gust 27. Probably be landing in flaps approach. Probably won't go full flaps on this one. Alright, as we're through 10, let's get all our lights on. Don't forget, if you like this stream, make sure you hit that like button. Only 140 likes, 280 of y'all in here, so that means over half of y'all haven't hit the like button. So do me a favor, hit that like button so we can fly more Dukes. It's actually getting pretty choppy. Take it out here a little bit further, then we'll rejoin on the downwind for 2-1. we'll kind of, S-turn, we'll go out, we'll come back around, right around these mountains here. And we need to be 6,300, I think, for, nope. Autobus off. I'll hand fly it. 6,300 for our pattern. Are we about to see the 24 crosswind juice? I think so. I think so. I know Fly Navy had a hard time landing a crosswind last night. Set on traffic, Duke 357 Bravo Sierra. We're about 3 miles to the south. We're setting up for a left downwind 2-1. Do a little scenic tour here. Oh, we need to get flight recorder ready. Flight recorder is ready. Alright.
Sedona traffic, November 1 Echo Romeo, right downwind runway 21.
It's technically left traffic for 2-1 Echo Romeo. Leave it to the riddle guy to enter the wrong direction of the pattern. It's amazing. I look off screen for 2 seconds to get flight recorder up 200 feet high. Alright, bring it around. Alright, let's get ready for approach. Let's go ahead and get the oil doors open.
Sedona traffic, November 1 Echo Romeo, turning base runway 21.
Bring it to idle. We'll go ignition, auto, auto. You can see there, ignition is on because our torque is way back. So that's proper. There's the runway. What do we say, 5,800?
Sedona traffic, November 1 Echo Romeo, turning final runway 21.
We're going to have a crosswind out of the south at 20 knots. Goodness. Nah, we just went on a little air tour. I wanted to fly by these rocks over here, see what they look like. It's actually a similar wind condition when I took my wife up here and had to go around. First date. Man, probably not a good idea to crash on the first date. Jeez. It is bumpy, you know. Sedona traffic, 7 Bravo Sierra, we're on the left downwind 2-1. Alright, 140 on the speed. We are looking good. Alright, let's get the recorder on. Recording's on. Gears coming down. Jeez. I mean, it is wicked bumpy in here. Sedona traffic, 7 Bravo Sierra, return on left base 2-1. Flaps approach. That's what we're gonna try to land this one with approach flaps only. Man, that wind is pushing us so hard around this turn. This is where you get a stall spin.
Sedona traffic, November 1 Echo Romeo, go around runway 21, be entering left traffic.
Oh, somebody's going around. We're going to overshoot final here just because that wind 20 knots out of the south. Maybe not. Alright, gears down, flaps approach. Jeez. That's from the ignition. Whoa! Please don't crash the Duke on our first landing here in Sedona. Yeah, this ain't gonna pan out. Let's go around. Power it up. Props are coming up.
So then
Torques
traffic
coming
November
up.
1 Echo Romeo
Positive
turning
rate, clear up.
base correct downwind runway 21.
I gotta try that again. Good night. Ah, exceedance. Torque. Just caused about $10,000 worth of damage. Still on traffic, Semperos here on the go around to left traffic. Alright. We're cleaned up. Let's try that again. That was just wicked over the, it's so hot now. Let's close that off. Turn the blower off. Since she was a helicopter pilot, shocked you got day 2. Yeah, I know. Me too, AJ. $12.93 torque exceedance. Hey, Wingnut, how much is a torque exceedance repair on one of these
Traffic
engines?
November 1 Echo
Probably like
Romeo
10
turning
grand,
base runway 21.
just to tear it down. Alright, let's try this again. He's on base 2-1. I'm going to extend out a little bit further this time. Don't quite see him yet. Yeah, AJ's right. If you have to ask, you can't afford it. Golly, man, it is so rough. I want to hit the mountain.
Traffic November 1 Echo Romeo final runway 21.
Might need to start getting the track IR for our Americas tour. I mean, look at this. I'm not doing anything. We're just getting absolutely throttled here. I hate how the master caution comes on when your torque comes back that low. I'm not that good of a pilot to keep the torque up the entire way in this condition. Let's go over these mountains here, then we'll swing it in. Sit on traffic, Duke Semperos here. We're turning left base 2-1. I mean, stick it on the approach. Flaps approach, gears down. Want to stay a little bit high here as we come around.
Then traffic November 1 Echo Romeo vacating runway 21.
That's a cool shot right there, though. Let's bring these up on this approach. We'll try this. I'm gonna go full prop. Get corrected here. Donut traffic, Semperos here on final 2-1. Let's get back over there towards the center line. Let's go full flaps on this one. Let's try this out. I think this might be better. All right. Yeah, look at the sink. Same as that first approach. Getting a crazy stutter, though, too. You see that? Good night.
Might want to add a gear inspection for that one.
Get out of here. We're still gonna have to pick up a premium trip down south, you know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, I hear you, man. Golly, that was not enjoyable. Able to maintain centerline pretty good though. Did you see that? See bling net? Alright, we'll stop the recording. Flaps are coming up. Pressure is 0. We'll throw you into dump. Let's get the wing lights off. Tax light can stay off. Nav only. This ignition's coming off. Where are you parking there? You didn't leave me a spot. Oh, yeah, you did. Close enough. Brakes are set. Avionics. Nasta. Idle. Cut off. Through 50. Feather. Generators off. Inverter. Battery switch. Oh look, we spun down at the same time. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sedona. Man, that was freaking a lot of work there at the end. I was not expecting that kind of work. But yeah, you see, I'm still getting a stutter. You see that? I was definitely getting a stutter on that one. I was not getting those before. Hopefully we don't have that in the Piston Duke. Not sure what that was all about. But we're shut down. Let's go to dinner and get a Xanax. Actually, speaking of, so there's a really great ceviche place over here at the airport. I'm gonna get out of my engine. Get out of there. Move. So there's a restaurant over here. It's pretty good stuff. And actually, the Sedona Air Tours is over there. Oh, there's the restaurant. Yeah, this is the restaurant over here. You can come up here and sit on the ramp, watch airplanes. Ground ceviches? No, actual ceviche. The actual ceviche is pretty good. Right up here. They even got the chairs out there. That's pretty good for default. Oh, there's a fence. How do I... Is there an opening? Let's go over here real quick. I just want to see what the restaurant looks like. Why does our pilot run over it like a first-person shooter? I just want to see... Oh, see, I'm still getting that stutter. They got some ground mesh issues. Oh, yeah, here, check this out, though. So this is where we're picking up our Piston Duke, right here. I'm going to have a seat. Ah, right here. There's our planes out there. Is someone on final? It'd be cool if someone was on final. Yeah, this is the restaurant right here. We even got a bounce house. Space to jump. Cool. All right. Oh, that's the tour place, Mr. Martini. I believe this is where the Sedona Air Tours is. Yeah, over here. Helicopter tours over here. Okay, hold on. Let's see. So my wife's face used to be on the van. I don't think it is. It was in one of the sceneries we had an X-plane. If I recall, I think her face was on one of the in the sceneries, which was kind of weird. Oh yeah. So this is Red Rock Air Tours over here. Yeah, there's a couple of them. That's cool. All right. Let's watch our replay. Yeah, see that stutter I'm getting still? What is that all about? What is that all about? All right, shift back to the airplane. Don't crash. Disconnect from Aveo Premium. A couple things we need to do. We need to put you into norm. We need to put you into forward, cutoff, and we need to put this closed. And we need to go generators. All right, now it should work. Let's disconnect the yoke. You know why I bet I'm having stutters? I got the freaking MD80 plug-in running in the background. I wonder if that's going to fix it. Let's see. Oh, here's our first attempt. Not a good one. Not a good one. It's just coming over that hill. We got rocks, just like you do in real life. Look at that. We've reached the pinnacle of flight sim of the bounce house. I know. Alright, so everything looked fine, but yeah, right here is where we started getting crushed. And then right in through here, there's a massive sink. Look at that wind pushing us over. Right here, look at that. Oh my gosh, massive sink. Power it up, and then we just had too much juice in it. Too much juice there with approach flaps. I'm still getting that stutter. So this is what we said. Alt F4. Go around. Up we went. So it was like landing in the carrier, got the burble from the air going over the fantail. Nice. They always say it's like landing at a carrier out here on this. Stutters are for modeling all those tiny. Did you stare with shrimp you soar? What? Is that English? Again. I wonder if it might be something to do with delivery not being compatible. Because sometimes this glitches out and it's like flickering black. Black and gray. Let's slow it a little bit. Made a turn. Wing up, turn and final. Actually looked okay here. I did this one with the props full forward, so we always landed with the props back, and then we would go full forward on touchdown unless you're in the king air and you had to go full forward. Vaughn, oh yeah, if you haven't been to Sedona, you gotta come try Sedona out, man. It's actually really enjoyable when it's not gusting 24 knots. Why don't we have steer horns on our Duke? I specifically requested it. So if you watch Wingnut, you'll be able to see maintaining of the center line in 2024. 24 knot gust out of the south in a light twin. Can't do that in Expo. It'll be all over the place. Or in whatever sim we were flying last time. Here we go. There's some more burble effect from the rocky fantail. Then we got high. We were ready for it. We were ready for it this time. We settled it out with some power. Hold it off, plenty of runway. This thing stops on a dime. Trying to keep that wing. Oh, got a little gust there. See, corrected. Ooh, left main, right main. Trying to weather vane into the wind, maintain that center line. I tell you what, that actually looks pretty. Oh, see the elevator deflect forward because it got pulled forward from the yoke. From the reverse, oh, that's so cool. The reverse thrust. And there it goes and hangs down. That was actually pretty dang good. I would say so myself. I don't think you could land the upwind wing down in 2020. I mean, look at this. So watch this again. So we hit a big gust right here. Boom. Correct it, and then that was firm though. We drove that main in. It's like what my FO did in Chicago. Definitely drove that main in there. know what the stutter's about. Very on brand. Collapse the struts on center line. I guess. Speaking of, oh, hey, guess who just called me? My FFL. I gotta go get my other people. VRAM overloaded? I don't know. It's been doing it the whole thing. The whole stream. Alright. Let's see if you have one more. Pause that. Let's go all the way forward. I'll let you enjoy the approach in. Alright. Well, it was short but sweet. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Maybe you learned something about the PT6. We did talk about the PC6 all crew, so that was fun. I think we are ready to start training for the Grand Duke. We're going to hang on the Turbine Duke for a short period of time as we focus now. It's going back to our turbocharged Lycoming TIO 540. Turbocharged Duke. Oh, nice stall there. Alright. I will see y'all probably maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow. Not maybe Friday. I gotta decide if I'm gonna drop this trip and start the Americas tour this weekend. We'll see. I picked up that Atlanta turn. I don't know. It's so easy though. We'll see. We'll see. Alright. Thank you all for the support. Make sure you hit the like button on the way out. Until the next one, stay safe, stay healthy. I'm V1. See you in chat. Beautiful sunset. 2024 for the win. Soup!